In today's video, I'm going to be giving you the best droning operator in the entirety of Rainbow Six Siege. So there are three options to go over. First of all, we have Twitch, Flores, and Brava. Those are the three droning operators that have different drones than just the default drones that everybody else gets. What makes these drones different? Well, each one of these drones has a different primary ability that I'll discuss in this video, and once we've stacked up their loadout, their playstyle, their primary ability, their uses, and what counters them, we'll more be able to form an opinion on who the best operator is for the most amount of uses in solo queue ranked. With that out of the way, let's go over the first operator, which is going to be Twitch. Twitch was the first droning operator that came out that didn't have a normal drone. Twitch's drone shocks things. It has a little taser on it. Now, contrary to the other tasers in the game, like bulletproof camera tasers, this doesn't just EMP gadgets, it destroys them. Think of the same taser that comes on Maestro cameras. Exact same thing. It does destroy electronic gadgets, except for bulletproof gadgets, unless you know you're going on the side of the bottom of a bulletproof camera. But it destroys any electronic gadgets that aren't bulletproof, just like IQ's bullets can. So think of it like an IQ with a drone. That's pretty much it. Now, before I go too heavily into her ability, let's talk about her loadout. First of all, she has three very solid weapons. She has the F2. Unfortunately, it did lose the vertical grip, so the recoil is pretty hard to control. But if you're on PC, maybe you have a high sensitivity, this thing can be pretty easy to control. So it's still pretty good. Personally, though, what I like to do is I like to run the 417. The 417 is her marksman rifle, her DMR. It does 69 damage with 20 bullets, and its recoil is very easy to control with the 1.5 times scope and the muzzle brake when you equip it, as well as the vertical grip. So this thing is a pretty solid DMR overall. Second favorite to me to Dokebee's DMR. It's, you know, it's that good. And then she has the best shotgun in the game, the SG CQB shotgun that comes on all of the other French operators and Lion. So 53 damage. The thing that makes this thing really good, though, is the amount of range it has. The range is absolutely crazy. With 7 bullets and a slow reload time, it can be a bit hard to use, but if you're just using it like a sniper that you get one-off shots with, it's actually pretty good. Then she has the P9 or the LFP 586 handgun. I would always run the P9. Having more bullets is going to be more rewarding than having something that does more damage. If you're on your secondary gun, that means that you run out of ammo on your primary gun. So you need the ammo more than you need the damage. So that's why I personally like the P9, especially because it does a pretty good considerable amount of damage, which is 45 damage with 16 bullets and low recoil. Then she has claymores or smokes. If you're more worried about your flanks, maybe you don't have a zero, maybe your teammates aren't as reliable and they're not playing flank watch operators, claymores are pretty effective, especially for runouts and maps that have a lot of runouts like Consulate. Or she has smoke grenades. Maybe you're more team oriented, maybe you're trying to get the bomb down and execute with your Twitch drones once you've destroyed all the utility in your way, or you just like bringing smoke grenades if they don't have a warden. That's personally what I do. I like smoke grenades a lot, but in a solo queue environment when you can't trust your teammates to watch flanks or watch runouts, claymores can be also a viable option. Now we've gone over her loadout, let's go over her main ability, the shock drone. Twitch recently got 2 buffs to her drones that actually make it a little bit easier to navigate with her drone. First of all, they upgraded the brakes, meaning it's easier to brake and make sudden movements on her drone than it would be if they didn't upgrade the brakes on her drone. They also made it to where you can jump with her drone now. If you're a returning player and you didn't know, Twitch can jump with her drone now, which is really powerful because it enables you to put it in spots that you wouldn't be able to put it if you didn't have a drone that could jump, which is super cool. It makes it to where it's easier to get your drone into the building, which is very cool because you only have 2 of these drones. Twitch is good on maps where there's a lot of easy to shoot utility because there's a lot of open space. 2 examples come to mind when I think of this. I think of Bank and Chalet. Chalet is a great Twitch drone map because there are a bunch of drone holes and there's a bunch of default cameras that are easily gettable with Twitch drones where the defenders can't really do anything about it. So having a set in stone drone plan of where you're going to drone into, what cameras you're going to get, what utility you're going to break is very powerful as Twitch, and it's something that I recommend you start doing. So when do you bring a Twitch? Well, normally you would bring a Twitch to counter a certain operator. You wouldn't just bring her because you want to. Her ability is really good at countering other people's abilities, specifically Goyo and Mira. These 2 operators are very powerful, especially right now, and Twitch completely counters them. So if you see that they have it with your prep phase drone, you can switch over to Twitch and counter those operators. What's really cool about this as well is both of those operators that she's mainly used to counter are late round operators. That means that these operators get the most value later in the round as the time ticks down. With Twitch, you have the entire round to be able to get rid of this utility, but the earlier that you do it, the most effective it will be. The only thing that's pretty limiting on Twitch is the fact that you can't destroy or hack bulletproof utility like the other 2 droning operators can. She also doesn't have a Gon6 or any other explosive utility to be able to deal with that. A mark of a great solo queue operator is the fact that you have information and you have destructibility of bulletproof utility. That is why Yana is so good. She has infinite information and she has frag grenades to be able to destroy bulletproof shields, Melusi Banshees, or whatever's in her way to go to the defense. Flores is good because he has information with his drones and it explodes stuff. Brava is really good because she has information with her drones and she can take bulletproof utility to destroy the bulletproof utility or just take it over. Twitch just doesn't have this aspect and it's really limiting, and I think if they gave her a Gon6 6, she would be a lot better of an operator, but for now, Twitch is kind of just okay and gets outshined by the other two operators, which I'll go into depth now. The second operator is going to be Flores. Flores has the highest amount of reward, but he also has the highest amount of risk. The reason that it's so risky to play Flores is mainly due to the fact that you only have a few seconds to use his drone. With Brava and Twitch, you can drone around the map the entire time, and you don't have a time limit on when the drones just blow up. With Flores, you do. After 8 seconds, his Flores drones will just explode, and you don't really have a say in where they do it. But an advantage that this brings is the fact that you can time these explosives. You can click a button mid-air or on the ground, and it will blow up wherever you want it to. So once you choose to explode his drone, it becomes completely indestructible, and there is nothing that the defenders can do to stop it. Unless they stop it as you're driving it to the thing that you want to explode, it's pretty much a guaranteed explosion. And unlike the other two operators on this list, instead of having 2 of these drones, he has 4 of them. So if you use all of these drones effectively and you destroy the most amount of utility with them, you're able to get multiple deployable shields, most of them Melusi Banshees, a bunch of barbed wire, and if you have one left over, you can get a wall open too. So that's very, very powerful. And in a meta where everything's very fast-paced, kills are happening way earlier in the round, a lot of people say that we're in a gun-heavy meta. Getting rid of any utility to slow down your attack or rush, or to put you in your place, is really powerful, especially right now. Going into his loadout, there's another thing that I want to mention that gives more credibility to how good this operator really is. And that's the fact that both of his primary guns are not only pretty decent, but they all have the 1.5 times scopes on them. If you don't know, this is the best scope in the game because it allows you to have long-range gunfights and close-range gunfights without having to sacrifice either or to have a good scope. The thing with the ACOG and the 3-time scope is you can't have close-range gunfights, and the thing with the 1-time scope is you can't have long-range gunfights. The 1.5 is the perfect in-between, and both of his guns have it. Not only that, but his DMR, which I personally like better than his AR, has a 2x scope, which is even cooler for longer range maps where holding angles is more required. He also has the option between flash grenades and claymores, which honestly, I always like to run flash grenades over claymores in any scenario because you can burn utility and you can get easy kills on players who are blinded, but that's just me. So not only is his kill potential high because he's able to have a 1.5 times scope on both of his guns, he's also really good for the meta because he's able to help his team speed up the rush and take control of the map because of the lack of barbed wire, deployable shields, Melusi Banshees, bulletproof cameras, Maestro cameras, or anything that's bulletproof of that nature that slows down the attack or rush. The only thing is, compared to Brava and Twitch, Flores destroys the least amount of electronic utility. So if there's a lot of electronic utility, let's say an Echo, a bunch of traps like Legion, Thorn, Capcan, Flores is not really the one that you want to deal with. What you want to bring then is either a Twitch or a Brava. So if you want to get bulletproof utility out of the way, maybe there's an Azami, maybe there's a bunch of shields, Flores is your guy, but anything else, the other 2 drone operators are better. And then finally, the last droning operator that I'm going to talk about is Brava. She is the newest droning operator addition to the game, but also the newest operator to the game in general. If you're watching this any later than Year 8 Season 1, then that could change, but probably not. So the difference between Brava and the other 2 droning operators is she doesn't destroy defender utility. In fact, she just turns it into the attacking utility. What she does is she hacks any utility that she's able to hack, and she turns it over to where attackers can use it, much like Dokkaebi, whenever she hacks defender phones and gets access to all of their cameras. The thing with Brava, though, is if Brava hacks a gadget, it's yours, and it's not just the defenders. Not only that, but if she hacks a gadget, she can use every single ability that comes with that gadget. So with Dokkaebi, if you get a phone and there's echo cameras, you can't actually move or stun people with the echo cameras. All you can do is see through them. With Brava, that's not the case. You can move the echo drone around, you can hop on the roof, you can stun people, and you can do this with every other cam. You can hack Maestro cameras, you can use Maestro's taser, you can hack Mozzie pested drones and take over the drones for yourself, you can hack Capcan traps to kill people with Capcan traps. The possibilities are completely endless with this operator, and she is arguably the highest skill ceiling operator on this list because you have to know every single defending operator and what they do to be able to hack and use their abilities to their fullest potential with Brava. So in terms of all of the other operators, she has the highest potential to have the most impact on a round. But here's the thing. Most of the time that doesn't happen. A lot of the times, people aren't bringing utility that she can hack that would be at all effective for the attackers to use. It's cool to hack default cams, but if a defender sees that a default cam is hacked, they're just going to shoot it. If they see that a Capcan trap is hacked, they're just going to shoot it. So the smarter players that you have on defense, the less effective Brava is because they're not just going to run into their own traps or their own cameras. They're just going to destroy them. So she gets less and less effective the higher up you go in your skill ceiling. Especially because people know that Brava exists, they're not going to play Echo and they're not going to play Maestro and they're not going to play all of these operators because they know that you can just switch to Brava once you see them. And if they are going to play them, they're going to hide it really well with Mute. And Mute completely counters you, so you can't get your drone in anyways. It's one of those operators that's a really cool concept, and is a really overpowered concept, to be completely honest, but in practice, she's not actually that good. Now, there is one thing that I want to highlight to Brava's help, and that is her loadout. She has a very versatile loadout, and the most versatile loadout, to be completely honest. Going over her primary, she has Capitão's Para with a 1.5. Now, this gun already does 52 damage, but if you put an extendo on it, it does even more. And the fact that it almost has 0 recoil means that you can do this without really any issues. Not only this, but she has the Super Shorty for her secondary shotgun, or her secondary weapon. Now, this thing is crazy because it allows you to play vertically, it allows you to open up rotates for yourself, and it allows you to have soft destruction on an operator where that's not their primary utility. So not only are you able to hack gadgets, but you're also able to play vertically and have soft destruction. That's crazy. So if I had to give a versatility point to any one of these operators, Brava by far is the most versatile. Pair that up with smokes and you can make some insane plays, but the only thing is you need to have coordination to do so. One thing that's also cool about Brava is she is a 3-speed. This is really good because of her playstyle, and honestly every single other droning operator wishes they could have this. The reason being is because most of the round, if you're playing Twitch, if you're playing Flores, or if you're playing Brava, you're gonna be on your drones most of the round. So having the extra speed to be able to catch up to your team once you're off your drone is very, very helpful, and it speeds up the pace of the round in an already fast-paced meta. Not only this, but she has a 1.5 and a pretty decent gun, so the fact that she's a 3-speed makes her even more cohesive than she already would be. So with that out of the way, out of all 3 of these options, who do I think is the best in solo queue ranked? Well, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, if we're talking about versatility, I have to give it to Brava. She's able to do so much more than the other operators on this list, and she completely clears when it comes to the possibilities that you have with an operator. If we're talking about who has the most impact on a round, I have to give it to Flores, because the ability to destroy deployable shields and barbed wire and Malusi Banshees and bulletproof utility is extremely powerful, because everything that's bulletproof on defense is really, really good if played correctly. Now, if I were talking about the one that was the easiest to use, that you could destroy the most amount of utility with, I'd have to give it to Twitch. So there's a lot of different factors here that make an operator good on this list, and if I had to pick one, it's going to be Flores. Now, what makes an operator good, like I said, is the ability to have information and the ability to destroy bulletproof utility. This is specifically for solo queue, but if you have comms with your teammates that have destroyable abilities, then that's not necessarily as important. But for a solo queue attacker, those 2 things are extremely necessary. That's why Yana has been at the top of the charts for most of this year and most of last year too, because she has so much versatility and she's very, very effective. Flores is no different. Not only this, but Flores is the most realistic pick out of any of the other droning operators. You have a guaranteed usefulness out of Flores every single round than you would playing somebody like Twitch or Brava, because if nobody's bringing utility for Brava to hack, then Brava is useless. If no one is bringing electronic gadgets that Twitch can destroy, then Twitch is useless. If no one's bringing Mirror or Goyo, Twitch is not going to be that useful. But Flores is going to be useful every single time because of the fact that his drones explode. Even if they don't have deployable shields, which I highly doubt, even if they don't have barbed wire or Malusi gadgets, which I highly doubt, they're going to have some sort of vertical play, which means you can play vertically with Flores because he has 4 of those drones. That's another thing that Flores has on both of these other 2 operators, is he has 4 drones instead of just 2, which is absolutely insane. And if we're talking about which operator you can bring every single round, again, Flores is the most realistic example, because there's always going to be stuff that Flores can't explode, especially in solo queue ranked when people are heavily relying on bulletproof utility. But that's just my take. If you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments and I'll be happy to debate you, or who knows, you might change my mind. Like the video down below if you like the video, sub to the channel down below while you're there as well. My name's Alka and I will see you on the next video. Later.